You get in your car, turn the key, and the engine cranks over and over but just will not fire up. Or maybe you were driving down the highway and the engine suddenly stutters. The tachometer needle drops to 0 and then it picks back up again. That is the classic sign of code P0339, which stands for Crankshaft Position Sensor B Circuit Intermittent. This is one of those codes that can leave you stranded, so listen up. Your engine's computer needs to know exactly where the crankshaft is at every millisecond, so it knows when to fire the spark plugs and inject fuel. It uses a sensor that reads a toothed reel called a reluctor ring on the crankshaft. When that signal gets choppy or disappears for a split second, that is the intermittent part. The computer gets confused and shuts down the ignition to prevent damage. That is why your car stalls or will not start. The sensor B part usually means it's a secondary sensor if your car has more than one, or it refers to a specific circuit. This is a generic code, so whether you drive a Chevy, BMW, or Kia, the logic is the same. The symptoms are terrifying because they happen unexpectedly, often causing hesitation during acceleration or a complete loss of power. Diagnosing P0339 can be tricky because intermittent means the problem comes and goes. If you go to test it and it works fine, you might scratch your head. Start with a visual inspection. Locate the crankshaft position sensor. It is usually near the bottom of the engine block, right by the main pulley. Look at the connector. Is it covered in oil or power steering fluid? Leaks are the #1 killer of these sensors because oil soaks into the wiring insulation and causes short circuit. If it's oily, clean it out with electrical contact cleaner, but you'll likely need to fix the leak and replace the pigtail connector. If it's dry, wiggle the wires while the engine is idling. If the engine stumbles when you touch the wires, you found a loose connection or a broken wire inside the insulation. If the wiring checks out, it's usually best to just replace the sensor. They are magnetic and can pick up metal shavings from the engine, which interferes with the signal. Also, check the reluctor ring, that toothed wheel I mentioned. If a tooth is chipped or broken, the sensor skips a beat. You can test the sensor with a multimeter, checking for resistance, or even better, an oscilloscope to see the wave pattern. But for most DIY mechanics, a new sensor is an inexpensive and smart attempt at a fix. Just make sure to buy a high-quality OEM sensor, as cheap aftermarket ones often fail right out of the box.